Welcome back, friends, to the shop. As you guys know, I have been out here working in the shop remodeling for the last, has it been 2 weeks or so? And I'm starting to get the vibe. I'll get to that here in a minute. I'm starting to get the vibe that Mrs. W would like a little help in the house. So we have some honeydew projects, and this being one of them. But before that, I need your opinion on something. This is an important family matter, and it's regarding these. This is my granddad's, the biggest Rocky Mountain elk that he ever shot in 1952 in his own handwriting there in Mitchell Ridge, Oregon. And I know the story. I heard it many times. I grew up hunting with my grandfather. When I was 12, I got to carry a rifle for the first time, and we would make those long drives over to eastern Oregon for hunting. Now, Granddad, of course, was a war veteran, World War II. Him and his brother Speed, they were drafted into the Army, and they are originally from Oklahoma. And they didn't grow up, they grew up trapping and hunting, but it's a very different thing over there in the plains of Oklahoma versus the rugged Hell's Canyon area up in the northeast corner of Oregon. So after they got out of the war, of course, they settled just outside of Portland and immediately started hunting in 1946. Now, Granddad told me back then they didn't know anything about it. They were a couple of Midwestern kids up in the mountains trying to figure out how to fish and hunt in that area. He said there were so many elk in that day, they were just everywhere. And they would go and they would go through the canyons, him and his brother, trying to shoot. They had no organization, no organized drives and such, and jump the animals out, and other guys would shoot them until he finally figured it out, right? So about 1952 or so, him and his brother Speed were pretty well getting it figured out, and that's when he came upon this monster. This is a beautiful, beautiful 6-point. Now, here on the West, we count the points only on one side. So I think in the Midwest, or maybe in the East Coast even, you count all of them. So when I say 6-point, usually you'll count maybe 5 by 6 if it's 5 on one side. But this is a big one, huh? Check out the mount. It's mounted on a piece of, looks like marine grade 3/4-inch plywood. Granddad wrote the name. He always wrote. He hung his antlers up in the shop, wrote where he shot it and the year and his name on it. And my Nana would upholster them with this foam and this beautiful red velour, right? or velvet. So when I was, Mrs. W and I, my parents brought these over and asked them if we wanted them, and we said we did. And we thought that this would be a really nice set to put over the fireplace. Such a memory. I mean, I just remember every time working in Granddad's shop and going over there, seeing these up on the wall in the garage. But the question I have for you is this. You want to hear the story? Should I tell you the story? It's not very long. I know hunting stories a little bit, but this is a pretty good one. So 1952, Granddad would have been what? In his early 30s or so. It was the last day of hunting season, and they were out, and usually the last day is not very productive because these elk are smart. As soon as they hear the rifle fire, they hold up, and they dig in pretty deep, and it's hard to get them out of brushy draws and such. He was hunting the last day. He was by himself, and he was coming up a canyon, and he heard gunshots, boom, 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 one after another. There was a group of guys in the canyon just over from him that had jumped this big monster and were shooting at it. Well, they'd missed, and it was running full speed to get away from them. It came up over the ridge, not maybe 100 yards from him, and at a full run, he saw it, and it saw him, and it stopped, and he shot. Well, he shot, and the thing fell down and got back up. But when it got back up, it had a big, like a pine cone, like a huge one, like a big ponderosa pine cone in its mouth. Its mouth was open because it was breathing so hard from trying to escape those hunters. And when it fell down from that initial shot, its mouth was open. It just happened to scoop up a big pine cone and wedged it in his mouth and couldn't spit it out. And then, of course, it was a good shot. Those elk are pretty powerful. They'll get up. And typically when you shoot one like that, if you have a good blood trail, you sit down for about an hour and wait, let it bleed out. And then he ends up finding it. But the guys that originally jumped it came and found him and they were green with envy that they missed it. But that's the way it goes sometimes. You win sometimes, and sometimes you lose. All right, so, the question I had for you, sorry. We might not even get to this very interesting thing here. I was originally thinking, this was it wasn't like a really fancy mount board, it's a little bit weathered. And what I was going to take it all off and take the Nana's upholstery off of there and redo it in something that was a little bit more modern and put it in the house. But as Mrs. W and I talked about it last night, we thought, well, that'd be a shame to take it off the original mount that my Nana upholstered and Granddad's own writing on there. Do you think we should leave it? Should we maybe just kind of dust it off and clean it up the best we can? Maybe even we could put a finish on it. I hate to sand it because it's got Granddad's writing on there, and put it on a new plaque. What do you say? Let me know in the comments what you think. Should we redo it, something a little bit more nicer with a nicer piece of wood, or should we just leave it like it is, clean it up, and mount it like as is above the fireplace? Let me know. All right, so let's get to these guys right here. In our old house, these are actually little pendant lights, and they were originally designed by a Swedish artist. Mrs. W's mother is from Sweden, and she's a fluent speaker, has lived and taught in Sweden, taught English, and we have really always liked the Scandinavian design and Scandinavian style, and we kind of furnished our house that way. And one thing she was really sad about when we left the last homestead is that I had bought her 3 of these. They were bigger, and we had them over the picnic table or over the dining room table, and they were pendant lights. And she was a little sad to leave those, so I'm surprising her. I found some, well, actually a friend of mine gave these to us. They bought them for their house, and it didn't work out for some reason. And we were talking about how much we missed those lights. And she said, well, I'll tell you what, I'll just give them to you. It'll be a housewarming gift. So this will be a nice surprise for Mrs. W. So we're going to put these up today and replace the ones that are a little bit dated, and we'll surprise Mrs. W with it. So actually, let's head in there and do that. And you guys can come hang out with me while I'm doing my honey-do list stuff. These are the current pendant lights that were here when we bought the house. Mrs. W is not a big fan. We're going to surprise her with these. Don't those look better? Those are a little more appropriate the Pineco light. So fortunately, my mom was a big fan of these, so she's going to put them in her house. So we'll take them down and save them for her. So problem is that the cords are too short, so we're going to have to rebuild these, and we'll do that real quick. I ordered a new cord, and then we'll just replace the short ones. Who is there? Yes.
Papa.
So do you notice?
Why did you shave your whiskers off?
Well, Mama likes it better when I don't have them. What do you think?
I think I want you to grow them back.
Should I grow them back for you?
Yeah, where are your glasses?
My glasses are in the bathroom. I'll grow them back for you. Can you give me a kiss? What do you think of my new hat?
You are crazy.
Are you speechless? What do you think?
I think it's lovely.
I ran into a problem here. When I unboxed these, I realized that the pendant wires are too short. The ceilings in here are really tall, and these are only about 5 feet tall. So I went on Amazon and I ordered 30 feet of this black cord here, which is, fortunately, it's the same stuff right here. So we have to rebuild these, take everything apart, and put the longer pendant cords on there. So I'm going to work these up right now, and then we'll get them all hung up. First off, we need to make up these mounting plates. We have 3 of them here. Now, when you're hanging your pendant lights, they've got to be supported because you don't want to have them just hanging off the wire. Sometimes you'll see these on the heavier ones, like the ones I removed, where you'll thread these on so that this carries the weight. These are a little bit different. These are actually supported by the cable. It's designed for that. This is called a strain relief on there. It actually clamps onto the cable, which I'll show you here in a minute. But these will mount on the box here. So once you put these on, these will except the trims. Then the trim will fit these guys like this here. And then they'll have usually sort of a little decorative nut on there like that, so that when the thing is finished, it looks nice like that. You don't have like an ugly screw or something up in there. Shocking. Here on the lamp side, this is a clever little mechanism. You know, you take this stuff for granted, but someone has put a lot of time and thought into this to design this. Okay, so we're going to take the existing wire off, right? So here's basically the same strain reliever right there. This grasps the cable, and that threads on there and then carries the weight so that the strain is not put on the wiring connection. I've got all 3 drops done, so now we just need to set the height. So I kind of determined it's going to be about right here. These are sliding up and down now. So what I'll do is I'll measure these. I measure these out to about 35, and I'll cut them all to the exact same length here off the cabinet or off the countertop. Are you helping, baby girl? So I'm going to pull a little bit of weight here, so that because they're going to sag a bit, and then I'm going to cut these exactly. I am. I'm going to cut these exactly at 35.
Are you going to tell me why you put a microphone on me?
Well, I have a surprise for you. Are you ready for your surprise?
Yes. What did you do?
Don't run into the wall.
I'm not. I'm looking at the floor.
All right, hold
So
on.
unless you did something at the floor.
Open your eyes.
They're open.
No, you look up here.
Thank you.
Look.
I love these.
They look nice, don't they?
Yes. Did you tell everybody what you did?
What's that?
So in our dining room at our old house, we had the big ones. And
I did.
Every morning, I would just love the light. And I said to Cody, I wanted these here, and you didn't.
I told everyone you were sad that we had to leave them behind.
I was. I really love these.
These are a lot smaller.
They're perfect.
They look great.
Well done.
Did I get the height right?
I think so.
Here,
Yeah,
pull
'cause you can still see the view.
Pull up one of your bar stools, see if so you can see under it. Is that going to work?
I know where I'm going to sit all the time. Could you make me a cup of tea, please?
Oh, anything for you.
Oh, thank you.
These lights were, well,
What?
you know how you think something's going to take an hour?
I think the rule of thumb is it will take 3 times as long and cost 3 times as much.
I'll bet I have 6 hours under them.
Really?
Yeah, it was, just everything, multiple different boxes in the ceiling, cheap, just, anyway, it's done now.
They look great. I really love them.
Mad respect to electricians, because that was hard.
Well, I'm glad you didn't have to call one.
And to get everything lined up and straight, too, so. And it's so tall.
I nearly forgot the snow. Did you mention the snow?
No.
It was almost gone, and it has been pouring and freezing.
Shall we see?
Just so cold. And now we have snow on the mountain. I heard it was down to 5,500 feet.
Yeah, it won't be long before we have snow here.
Won't be long, can't wait.
That was 2 days ago. It was barren rock.
Yep. Are you ready for winter?
I am ready. I could barely make it out. It's Granddad's name right there, 1952. That's what it is, 430 LBS, 430 pounds of meat. Granddad was all about the meat. He was not a wealthy man, and hunting it was something he enjoyed. There was no doubt about it. But it was definitely about the meat. That's how he fed the family. A lot better than he would have been able to just on a single salary, right? in Enterprise, Oregon. That was our jump off point when we'd head over east. That's cool. I never noticed that.